Okay, let's talk about Home Burial by Robert Frost. So this would be a good time for you to get your poem out so we could talk about this. And this reads very much like a drama. It's actually considered a dramatic poem because it has a lot of dialogue in it. And so let's go ahead and talk more about it. So in terms of this poem, there's a couple different themes that are going on. One of the themes that you don't see until you're towards the middle of the poem is it is about the death of a child. It's about the communication differences between males and females, and it's about relationships. So when you're looking at this, you can kind of see at the beginning that there is a conflict or there's some miscommunication between a man and a woman, and we later find out that they are most likely husband and wife. I don't know if it directly says that in here, but they do have a child together, and lost that child. But they're definitely, she's up the stairs, he's at the bottom of the stairs, and there's definitely some conflict going on. And it kind of can remind you of, I was thinking when I was reading it, it kind of reminded me of the John Gray books, Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus. And there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of information out there about different communication styles between men and women. And in this one, they're really looking at the different expressions of grief. So, for example, where the woman wants to grieve and is upset, as you read through the poem, she's upset at her husband's lack of emotion or lack of dealing with it. And some of that could be said, the differences between the genders, but I think even within the same gender, you can look at things very differently, that some people, they grieve openly, and then others are more of, they stuff the feelings and deep inside of them, and they kind of continue on with life. So let's look at, in terms of looking at the theme, I want to look at some of the actual words that are in the poem. So it's talking about, if we look to the second page, if you printed it out, where it's talking about, basically, it's giving the idea that there is a gravestone, talking about there's slabs that are in the sunlight, and it's a marble. There are 3 stones of slate and 1 of marble, and it's on the hill. And so you're kind of getting the idea that it's a cemetery. And then it talks about a child's mound. So that gives you the illusion of the death of a child. And the husband is trying to consult her, and says she withdrew, shrinking from beneath his arm. So obviously she didn't like how he was consulting her and is trying to withdraw from him. So there is that tension that you can see based on some of the actions that are going on in the play. And it says, and I turned on him with such a daunting look. So they're definitely not comforting each other. And I want to go down to number 4, figures of speech. And as you read this, there's a lot of irony, because grief should bring loved ones together and support one another. You should be able to help each other through this, someone that knows you, that loves you, that cares about you. But oftentimes, grief has a tendency to tear people apart, and many times the loss of a loved one, of a child, often can destroy lead to the destruction of a marriage. And then we also get the idea there's a lot going on here in terms of the actions, and we can kind of get some insight into what's happened in the past. So if we go where it says, and turned on him with such a daunting look, it also mentions where she basically says that she can't find comfort anywhere. I must get out of here. I must get air. So it's so difficult for her, and I don't rightly know whether any man can comfort her. And so she's saying, I don't think I can find comfort anywhere. And then he says, Amy, don't go to someone else this time. So again, it alludes to the fact that maybe she did go to somebody else for support, and maybe it was a man. And sometimes that happens too, that sometimes people look in other directions than with their loved one because they are so lonely and miserable. My time is running out, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now and continue on the next one.